changes are expected from this task force? Well, let's in fact get in some guests on this panel. We have Ishant Kanodia, who's a NEET aspirant, who's joining us, Adish Agarwala, who's a senior advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us as well, and Mr. Sanjay Sahai, who's a former ADGP KTK. Let me in fact first go across in fact to Mr. Adish Agarwala. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for speaking to NewsX. A very good morning to you, sir. So we were just talking about this excellent committee, this task force that has been in fact constituted by the government. Great minds from various fields to look at every angle, every perspective of the public examination system. How are you looking at this new reform that the government is trying to bring in, sir?
It's really, I salute the Prime Minister that after this agitation, after this leakage, the Honorable Prime Minister has personally intervened. He personally addressed the students and applied his mind and chosen the best brains of India to protect the interest of the students and to ensure that in future such things should not happen. Nobody has been left who should be there in this committee. So really, and I hope nobody, no even the opposition leaders in parliament, they will be not having any reason to oppose this move of the government.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, let me also get in a word from a NEET aspirant himself, Ishant Kanodia, who is joining us on this broadcast. Ishant, thank you so much for your time, very valuable time that you are giving to us. I want to understand from your perspective, this is a task force that has been set up by the government. We've been talking about reforms, but now we have names, people who have been in this industry. We have a former intelligence bureau chief to make sure that there are no internal threats, to make sure that there are no leaks that are happening. We are also looking at educationalists who have in fact worked in the field of education coming in. We have the director of IIT Madras to look at the technological aspect of the examinations. So Ishant, as a NEET aspirant, as a person, as a student, I want to understand, does this give you more hope for a better and a revamped system, this task force that the government has set up?
नो मैम, मेरे को नहीं लगता कि इस चीज़ से हमको सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलेगी, बिकॉज लाए तो ये बिल 2024 में भी थे एंड उसके बाद इनको अब 2026 में भी ये बिल लाना पड़ रहा है। और उसमें भी इन्होंने क्या चेंजेस करे हैं कि सिर्फ इन्होंने जो जेल है उसका टाइमिंग बढ़ा दिया एंड जो फाइन है उसको बढ़ा दिया। उस चीज़ से मेरे को नहीं लगता है कि कोई एक बड़ा रिफॉर्म आ पाएगा जब तक कि कोई एक बड़ा एक्शन ना लिया जाए उनके ऊपर जो कि ये पेपर लीक करते हैं, क्योंकि वो कोई ऐसा छोटा मोटा माफिया नहीं है कि हाँ उनको हम जेल में डाल देंगे या फिर इन चीज़ों से उन्हें कोई फर्क पड़ेगा। वो पैसे दे के फिर बेल पे बाहर आ जाएंगे और अगले साल फिर वही चीज़ रिपीट होगी, सेम वही लूप होल चलता रहेगा एंड यही सेम रहेगा हमेशा। और इसी के साथ ही मैं ये भी कहना चाहूँगा कि जो पीएम है वो ऐसा शो हो रहा है कि वो हमको बस एक लूप में फंसाना चाहते हैं कि पिछले 2024 में वो लाए एंड देन हम 2026 में ला रहे हैं एंड देन उसके बाद फिर अगर फिर लीक हो गया तो फिर वो यही सेम चीज़ करेंगे कि हाँ 2028 में एक और दिया है कि हाँ हम ऐसे करेंगे वैसे करेंगे, जो कि एक सही चीज़ नहीं है। एक बड़ा एक्शन लेना चाहिए जो कि पेपर लीक करते हैं। जैसे कि अभी हमें पता चला जो 2024 का जो मास्टरमाइंड था उसको भी बेल मिल चुकी है, उसको नॉट गिल्टी फाउंड करा गया है। तो इस चीज़ से हम क्या समझते हैं कि हमारे जो जुडिशरी है उसमें काफ़ी सारे लूपहोल्स हैं, काफ़ी सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, जिनको फिक्स करने की बहुत ज़रूरत है। जैसे कि अभी बोला भी जा रहा है कि हाँ, फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट्स ला रहे हैं, उस चीज़ से भी मेरे को नहीं लगता कोई एक्स्ट्रा फ़ायदा होगा, क्योंकि उस चीज़ के लिए पहले से काफ़ी सारे बने हुए हैं फास्ट ट्रैक्स एंड इस चीज़ में भी मेरे को नहीं लगता कि कोई फ़ायदा है।
तो ईशांत, फिर मैं एज ए स्टूडेंट आपसे जानना चाहती हूँ कि आप क्या चेंजेस एक्सपेक्ट करना चाहते हैं ताकि सिस्टम इम्प्रूव हो? अगर आपको लगता है कि ये जो सारे स्टेप्स लिए जा रहे हैं ये सहायक नहीं है, तो आपके हिसाब से ऐसे कौन से स्टेप्स हैं जो गवर्नमेंट ले सकते हैं जिससे कि आपको लगता है एग्जामिनेशन सिस्टम्स में चेंजेस आएंगे?
मैम सबसे पहली चीज तो ये करनी चाहिए कि जो पेपर सेटर्स हैं उनके ऊपर सबसे मेन एक्शन लेने चाहिए कि जो पेपर सेटर है उनको इतना हाई सिक्योरिटी में रखना चाहिए कि ना कि उनका लाइक अपने से बाहर कोई कनेक्शन ना हो। जितने वो पेपर सेट कर रहे हैं, पेपर क्वेश्चन पेपर्स बना रहे हैं, उस टाइम पे उनका बाहर की दुनिया से एकदम कट ऑफ कर देना चाहिए, उनको क्वारंटीन रखना चाहिए। और अगर उनको कोई नेसेसिटी है भी तो उनको बहुत लिमिटेड एंड काफ़ी अच्छी सिक्योरिटी में इंटरनेट यूज़ करने देना चाहिए, जैसे रिसर्च वगैरह के लिए। और जो पेपर प्रिंट होते हैं वो किसी प्राइवेट कंपनी को ना देके गवर्नमेंट के अंडर प्रिंट करवाने चाहिए पेपर्स। और जो उसका ट्रांसपोर्ट है, ट्रांसपोर्ट में भी उनको सिक्योरिटी थोड़ी हाई रखनी चाहिए। ये चीज़ नहीं होनी चाहिए कि बस वो शो ऑफ के लिए कर दें कि हम एयरफोर्स को इसमें इंटरवीन करने दे रहे हैं, हम एयरफोर्स के थ्रू करवा रहे हैं। उस चीज़ की उतनी कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है। उसको एक प्रॉपर एक वो बनाना चाहिए इनको कि जिससे कि ये जो इनका लूप है वो टूट पाए।
जी जी ईशांत, मैं आपके पास वापस आऊँगी, हमारे साथ जुड़े रहें. लेट मी ऑल्सो रोप इन मिस्टर संजय सहाय who is now joined us on this broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for speaking to NewsX. Very good morning to you. We are discussing this bill that the government is obviously going to table, the amendments, and we are also discussing, sir, this task force. Great minds on the task force. We are looking at every aspect from security to logistics to a former, in fact, intelligence bureau chief on the panel. I want to understand from your perspective, sir, firstly, how are you looking at this task force that has been constituted, and also at the proposed amendments that have come into the picture?
We'll start with the bill first. And this particular enactment, which happened in 2024, it seems it had a shelf life of just around 25 months. It happened in somewhere in June 2024. And in July 2026, it had outlived its utility primarily for the reason that it was not applied in the manner it should have been. And the investigation, prosecution, and the judicial process has taken so much of time that justice has not been delivered. And after that, what happened, all of us know. There's also a task force which happened after the 2024 leaks and which came up with 100 or might be even more recommendations. We don't know the fate of those recommendations. Now we are coming to the current bill. I just wanted to give you a backdrop of what has happened so far. So as far as the current bill is concerned, so what we are playing around with is the timelines and the severity of punishment, which means the punishments were already there. It has been made more severe, say from 5 years to 7 years or 7 years to 10 years. And what is very, very critical and important is that it is the judicial process and the investigative process have been given timelines of 2 months and 3 months each, which means in the case of a leak, within 5 months, everything should get sorted out. The service provider liability, which was very clearly mentioned in the 2024 enactment. So I'm not very clear about what is the service provider liability. And as my young friend has been talking about as to what needs to be done. So the current leak, 2026 leak, was primarily because of the insiders. Now I think it is high time that we come to the prevention component of it. And the prevention component has to be very, very neatly given. And if that is not attended to, under those circumstances, they should also come under the penal sections of the law. By that I mean that both commission and omission, both are offenses. Primarily what has been happening that the public authorities, they are found wanting in the omission part of it. So omission is there and still we can't act against them. So background verification and variety of other things which have been talked about, I think that needs to be done. Now coming to Nandan Nilekani Committee, as it is being popularly flouted from UID to variety of other reforms, Commonwealth and all that. You are putting the best brains, supposedly the best brains. How many of them are experts in competitive examination and things of that nature we are not aware of? So one is a ISRO scientist, one comes from a different fold, one from intelligence bureau. So the whole problem here is that they will, within 3 months or 6 months, they will give recommendation. The last group's recommendation has not been implemented. Now, this group will also give a recommendation. How much of it will be implemented, we don't know. Now, one very critical change which needs to happen in this country is the whole culture of committee. Now, you have formed a committee, let this committee give recommendation, and they should also be given the powers that after the recommendation, the implementation of the recommendation till the time it becomes fully operational and seamless, and there are no flaws in the running system which has been created of that recommendation also should be the responsibility of these people who have been great practitioners and executioners in variety of fields. There is no denying the fact. But the point is the committee, the recommendation, its implementation, executing it, making it operational, and getting the desired results. That has not been happening.
Absolutely. Some very valid points there, Mr. Sahai. Let me take that across to Mr. Agarwala as well. Mr. Agarwala, do you also believe that the implementation of the recommendations that come in is of utmost importance, because you can have, yes, a committee that has great minds on it, but if the recommendations are not implemented, then we are at the same stage with the 2024 bill that's happened. We will be left with the 2026 bill if it gets passed in the parliament in the same way.
I fully agree to the point raised by Mr. Sahai that we are required to properly implement, and we should know how to implement. And once such type of agitation has happened, I am sure that government will do its best to implement it. As regard Mr. Ishant has pointed out that earlier accused, the prosecution could not prove the could not get it in conviction. That also our courts, our criminal justice delivery system has to be properly activated, and the investigation officer has to put on the responsibility that once they file the charge sheet, it should be properly prosecuted in court, and the prosecutor in the court also has to properly function as per law and should ensure that, because the charge sheet, once it is being filed, it is seen by, approved by the, up to, in such type of matter, up to the SP level. So they have to ensure that properly all necessary witnesses are brought to the court and their statements are recorded. They are properly taught that they should tell the truth, and there should be conviction. Till there is no conviction, the people will lose faith in our system also, like young man Ishant has pointed out. But just mere saying ki there will be nothing, we have to try. Either the students should tell that such and such things should be done. They can't say anything else what the government has suggested. It is correct. Government has to properly implement it, and our investigating agencies and judiciary should also properly function.
Absolutely. I'll request all my panelists to, in fact, please continue to stay on with us. We're getting a breaking news that we'd like to introduce to our viewers. Well, opposition leaders are set to meet at Mallikarjun Kharge